Episode 313. A warm welcome. After 2 weeks of cultivating at headquarters, two figures sat cross-legged on a shield flying toward the Blue Water chapter. The Flying Irish shield was extremely fast and stable. Its biggest downside was that it could only fit 2 or 3 people, but its offense, speed, and supportability still made it Bobby's most precious item. Beside Bobby on the shield sat a woman in pink named Daya. She was the assistant that Lord Tate had sent with Bobby. He had been surprised to learn that she was at the true human rank. Her cultivation, age, and experience couldn't be guessed by her appearance. Assigning him such an esteemed assistant was a sign of how important Lord Tate considered Bobby. She inspected the youngest chapter leader in the history of the Iron Blood clan with curious eyes. Bobby had broken the record by many years. At just 16 years old, he wasn't even considered to be an adult, and his cultivation hadn't reached the true spirit realm. The boy didn't speak much, instead spending most of his time cultivating. At times, he had been so deep in his meditation that Daya had needed to provide her own true spirit energy to power the Flying Irish shield. Between cultivation sessions, Daya taught Bobby about the area he was preparing to lead. She explained how the chapter was in an area out the outskirts of the Iron Blood clan by the Blue Water River. For dozens of years, the chapter had been the Iron Blood clan's strongest force. The Blue Water River ran through areas controlled by many of the most influential and fearsome families and forces, such as the Carr family, the Miller family, and the Wicked Realm chapter. There were hundreds of other smaller families and clans along the Blue Water River, too many to mention by name. Wicked Realm chapter? Bobby interrupted. He recognized it as the clan that the Great Moon Pirate had once belonged to. He knew that the chapter still existed after the Great Moon Pirate died, but he didn't know how much of the threat they posed. The Wicked Realm chapter is among the top 5 forces among the Blue Water River, Daya explained. They are a wicked clan that are known for harming other families, especially beautiful women. Once he felt that he understood the general situation around the region, Bobby thought through what he needed to know about the lead. What do I need to worry about when I reach the Blue Water chapter? He humbly asked, welcome to any advice she might give. The Blue Water chapter has 6 true spirit realm cultivators. The 2 lieutenants, Niall and Lena, are both at the peak true human rank and have even beaten an expert of the true mystic rank once they have teamed up. Of course, these 2 have both been eyeing the position of chapter leader, and I'm worried that they won't be so obedient. Daya had wanted to be honest with him, not hiding the factors that would be difficult for Bobby. Bobby rubbed his forehead, beginning to feel a bit overwhelmed by the pressure on him. What he needed to do now was to focus on reaching the true spirit realm. That would cut back the pressure and rumors. Bobby spent a portion of the journey inspecting the map of the Blue Water region. At the very outer edge of the region, Bobby saw the name Wavy Bay Alliance. He thought it was interesting that the Wavy Bay Alliance and the Wicked Realm chapter were both adjacent to the Blue Water chapter. After traveling for ages, Bobby and Daya finally approached the Blue Water chapter, stirring up quite the commotion when the people saw who was to be their new chapter leader as the shield descended. Many of them voiced concerns and objections to Bobby's age, while some questioned the sanity of the leaders back at the main headquarters for appointing a child. The upper echelons of the Blue Water chapter were all angry. But the 2 lieutenants at the front, Niall and Lena, looked the most affronted. Niall wore blood-red robes and carried a fierce aura. Lena was a stunning woman with a noble stature and twinkling eyes. The 2 lieutenants exchanged a glance, and Lena leaned in to whisper, there must be something we're not seeing. After all, this new chapter leader was promoted by the deputy patriarch himself. Secondly, this kid apparently received the Great Moon Pirate's inheritance and kidnapped Empress Louisa in the capital. Niall replied, so what? Getting the Great Moon treasury could have just been up to luck. Kidnapping Empress Louisa could have been a fluke, and I didn't even hear he had a plan to escape. If the Deputy Patriarch hadn't arrived, you think he could have gotten away unharmed? It was obvious that everyone knew about the new chapter leader's history and background, but they were still curious about his personality and temperament. The two lieutenants were looking for any weaknesses to take advantage of it to increase their chances of stealing his position. Lena laughed and said, "No matter what, he was promoted by the Deputy Patriarch himself as is famed throughout the country. We can't do anything obvious to try to remove him, or that'll come back to bite us." Niall harumphed, but he didn't say anything. With the Deputy Patriarch personally backing Bobby, they would have to be extremely careful. Anything they did would have to be subversive. As Bobby and Daya stepped down from the flying arrow shield, the people of the chapter instinctively ducked their heads to avoid his gaze. Even looking as young as he did, Bobby was intimidating face to face. His mystic cloak and piercing ice blue eye gave him an unapproachable presence, like his gaze could freeze souls. The two lieutenants purposely didn't lower their eyes. His bloodline would be more impressive if his cultivation wasn't so low and he actually had some experience. Niall jeered, snickering coldly. Lena ignored her companion's taunts, reevaluating her own estimation of the new chapter leader when she recognized the true human rank attendant that had stepped down with him. "That's Daya," she told Niall. "She's the most trusted attendant of the Deputy Patriarch. If the Deputy Patriarch sent her along with the boy, he must really respect him." After that observation, Lena was less hesitant to bow along with the rest of the crowd gathered to welcome Bobby. He had proven his identity and position by taking out the chapter leader token and giving it to him by Lord Tate. Even those as high-ranking as Niall and Lena would have to bow down to their new leader in respect. Bobby had to remember not to let that kind of power go to his head. Their respect wasn't ready for him. It was a show of respect for the Deputy Patriarch's authority. Even though Bobby could sense that their loyalty wasn't to him, he was determined to get to know the people and earn their respect. He spent the first day getting to know the upper echelons of the Blue Water chapter. The elders reported in turns to catch Bobby up to the goings-on in the region. The first elder reported, "The Lees recently gained another true human rain cultivator. Their power had been steadily increasing, even if the head of the family is getting too old to utilize all of his true mystic rank power. They are still the strongest force threatening the Blue Water chapter." Another elder added, "Not long ago, they even caused trouble in one of the Blue Water chapter's primal crystal mines, and someone was killed. I think they were trying to send a message, but we don't know what they want. I recommend that you personally visit Lee family and settle the issue. Meanwhile, the Wicked Realm chapter has been unusually quiet in the past few months." Another elder pitched in, "We've heard rumors that they've gotten their hands in some sort of Great Moon Pirate's treasure." Bobby scrunched his eyebrows. From his point as a newcomer, their minor problems seemed to be exaggerated or blown out of proportions to try to make their chapter sound more interesting than it really was. None of the concerns were a direct threat to the Blue Water chapter's power. "From today onwards, I'll be meditating in seclusion. Everything from here will be handled by Daya," Bobby declared, rising to retreat to his quarters. Their new leader's apparent indifference secretly pleased Niall and Lena because that meant he wasn't very interested in power, leaving the actual authority in their hands. Their biggest obstacle now would be Daya. She wasn't just Bobby's assistant. She was the Deputy Patriarch's key advisor. Bobby spent most of his time cultivating and condensing his source of true spirit. His affinity with the Earth's vital essence was growing stronger, and if he focused, he could gather more lightning energy above him. The true spirit realm wasn't far away. After almost a week in the Blue Water chapter, Bobby's half-step true spirit energy was almost fully pure. The lightning energy gathering from the earth filled his body and electrified his bones. There was one last step. Bobby took a deep breath, and his last essence of true force gathered and condensed, purifying as it incorporated with the Earth's vital essence.